character's entire move kit is centered around set play. How do you set play a set if there's no set at all? He just gets out of it. You can't set play if he just gets away from you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see this one too, because it's just Smurf's controller is so modded that it glows.
Is that the box?
That's
that's
the Ryu controller.
Yeah,
it's still in the car. Grab the box,
Hey,
bro.
Mick, can you run outside and get my controller?
He retired the Kazuya for the rest of the night, I see.
Well, let's talk about SmurfPoster, man. I mean, 17th at max res for those of y'all who are not in Tri-State. We did have a pretty decently sized regional last week with invaders from all over called Max Res. Shoutouts to Brookland, of course. Beautiful venue, great events as well. But Smurf just placing 17th, but I mean, Rivers has not been here in a hot minute. I hate to like blow him up like that, but 129th at LMBM to 33rd at Collision. So we're making moves up the ladder, if we say. But I feel like Rivers is one of those players that's like, I come back sometimes to hang out with the homies, and this honestly today has definitely felt like a good hangout with the homies. But no prior sets played. We definitely could probably expect that.
I love that the set count as we get closer and closer, not even closer, sorry, we're right here. Well, as we get through top 8 into now top 6, they're all new matchups. They're not your usual top 8 New York, well, some of them are, but not your usual New York top 8, New Jersey top 8, and PA top 8. It is all new people going at each other for the first time ever at this event of all places, and that's like, what, the third one we've had where it's like a brand new head-to-head. They've never fought each other before, but they have such notable wins in their records and their history that they're all just going to be such hot sets regardless.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of seeing new players and new play styles interact for the first time.
Yeah.
And someone like SmurfPoster, who is always in a position, who always tries to put himself in a position to gain explosive damage, whether it be off of 1 or 2 piece conversions or some massive strings or massive edge guard setups. Like, that's going to be very interesting to watch develop over time against Rivers, who focuses purely and simply on like neutral into combo into back to neutral. It'll be a very tenuous sort of tempo I think we're going to be seeing between these two players.
It's definitely going to be very exciting set nonetheless. I mean, you know, the thing about SmurfPoster 2 is that honestly, taking a little bit off of what he said against Zero, I think one thing to really keep in mind is that he's really good at finding those 1, 2, 3 piece combos and then stepping away and setting up again. And that's the thing they somewhat have in common, right? It's being able to catch where he goes. And I think if SmurfPoster is able to find a way to catch Monkey Flip, it's going to be hard. Easier said than done. Your Ryu, that's Diddy Kong is fast as hell. If you can find a way to deal with it, it's going to be a very interesting set.
Honestly, if I'm Rivers, I'm really happy here. Not only because of matchup, but because of experience in this matchup for a long time, too. But the thing is, I mean, Smurf coming out really strong right now, and I think it's going to take some time for Rivers to adjust from Smash 4 Ryu to current Ryu, and especially on a newer guard type of player to see how this one is going to go. But as, you know, some things never change, and Monkey Flip in the corner is definitely something that's going to net Rivers a ton of mileage in this matchup so far.
It goes what we were saying at the last set we saw Rivers. There are alternative ways to find value off of a neutral win. And sometimes for Diddy Kong, that just means escape. And against a character like Ryu, who can be a lot harder to catch people, escaping and weaving back in when you feel like it, it's a whole lot stronger. Though, as you mentioned, Lyric, this is a new age type of Ryu. One of the characters that really transformed up the FGC crew from a perspective that was kind of like fireball down tilt, like play your very stable, very defensive game, to SmurfPoster, who's a little bit more offensive, though. Yeah, and a nice edge guard.
Yeah, nice edge guard. No barrels, no nothing, just vibes. He's wanting to go to the last one I see. And now silently, SmurfPoster being in the lead right now, and getting a lot of these these hard wickets coming out. And I'd love to see that. You know, is just consistently hitting everyone that he throws it at. But there it is. Banana throw into the trip into the up smash. Gonna be taking it enough for Rivers to at least get some extra credit started. But at the same time, being at 60% and counting, I mean, it's just a matter of how can we avoid being touched by this character, because anything that SmurfPoster has done, we've been seeing all on stream all day, they kind of explode.
I like the point you bring up of Smash for Ryu earlier. I don't know how the Hadouken worked in that game, but I think he's definitely playing a little wary around Shakunetsu. The way that River's giving a lot of respect to that move, where he's not really challenging it whatsoever with banana, peanut pop gun at all, or he's just kind of monkey flipping away from it. And it's SmurfPoster sending that towards the platform. When he's monkey flipping away, turns away, and then punches Rivers whenever he jumps in. Like just doing it right there again. And he has banana in hand. So all in all, Rivers is not only playing into his hand, but also just giving him his one tool to this matchup. And I think SmurfPoster is taking that and playing with it very, very well.
Yeah, I think the counterplay versus Diddy Kong for a long time, for all iterations of Smash that Diddy Kong has ever been in, is take the banana and run, and Smurf is handling it extremely well. I think the pacing of the match, too, in general, has been very off-tempo. It's been on a tempo, but not like a standard Smash on tempo, and I think Rivers is low-key struggling with the fact that Smurf is playing so passive, right? We're expecting somebody, especially on a Showdown, to play up in your face, really kind of giving you the opportunity to punish, and I think Smurf is really just kind of content controlling the movement for a Showdown to do that, something that we don't usually see in Ultimate.
Well,
That's rough.
That's rough. buddy.
Every time I've talked, like, all of a sudden Rivers just, every time it, like, gets back to me, Rivers is like, okay, but what if I just don't recover?
What if I just explode? Like, how about that?
That's rough, buddy.
Certainly so. I like what you're going off to here, though. Like, SmurfPoster definitely much playing on threes to put it in a way.
Oh, I like that,
where
Henry.
he's always like trying to play once he has banana in hand, so he'll skip a few steps in order to make sure he has that. And Rivers has really interesting counterplay to that, because if Ryu can't aggressively play out of shield with his auto turnaround because banana is in hand, then Rivers can suddenly have things on the table like cross-up dash attack and aerials on block a little bit more belligerently than he would if it was just like SmurfPoster holding shield, threatening something like a down tilt off of a drop shield or a Shoryuken out of nowhere.
the most funny part of this matchup, however, is the fact that because of that SD Rivers just made, one of two this set, by the way, that suddenly the lead that you have that was so comfortable is kind of slipping away. We've known that SmurfPoster is A-okay with going for that F tilt right to Shoryuken, and you just kind of get destroyed immediately by that, especially at this percentage as Rivers. Now, what's the edge guard? It is gonna be the back air, of course, because why are you? I understand why we focus off stage. It's actually very good. However, Rivers does not care, and you got caught lacking off stage.
I think is the mobility as Shoto's, of course, off stage is already hard enough as it is. It's the fact that whenever Rivers has banana in hand, you've seen how crazy he gets with the monkey flip is one thing. The fact that you're trying to charge up focus to cancel out of it to get back on the stage is just, he knows the angle. Like, again, we're talking about Smash 4 Ryu. He plays against his character so much, he knows around how close you have to be, where you're going to be canceling out of that. You're going to go for back air, and I'm completely ignoring the fact this dude just picked Steve.
Huh? Pause.
Who said? Oh, I feel like someone just said. Production just said, "Oh, like this is like a hidden boss."
You know it's crazy when even production's like, "Hello."
Yeah.
I will say, we mentioned earlier, Long Island. Everybody and their mom in that part of New York plays Steve. So this isn't too surprising. But also, if I'm Rivers, I'm tight. You said earlier he's probably happy. If I'm Rivers, I'm tight.
Yeah.
Tight.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, if I'm Rivers, this is like a brand new game plan. It's like, all right, like, let me just readjust. And at that point, the opening combo is just, man, like, here we go. And it's all about the kind of patience and your attitude towards the matchup. Attitude is, I hate to sound like a high school like sports coach, like attitude's half the battle. But honestly, attitude is really half the battle when it comes to Steve. It's about the patience, right? And we've seen Steve lose. I mean, we've seen a couple of Steves like out of the bracket at this point. So the character's not unstoppable. It's about how you approach the matchup. So I'm interested to see how SmurfPoster's Steve plays differently than some of the other Steves that we've seen in bracket so far. But I have to say, well, this Steve is the one that's taking the banana still and not letting Rivers really get set up.
Yeah, he is. Regardless of character, SmurfPoster has shown that his item play is still very effective. And he's doing tech. It was super minute, and it ended up losing him the stock because he decided to play off of blocks instead of going to the ground. But he did nil off of ledge, which is something you do not see an unpracticed Steve do. So the technical proficiency is definitely very much there.
Absolutely, and we did mention that SmurfPoster was like the hidden like seventh Steve that was here today, funnily enough, and you know, unfortunately it's Rivers who is the victim of the night, and we also see the victim of a forward smash. Gonna be seeing a 1-to-1, I'm sorry, 2-to-2 stock equal footing here, as well as honestly SmurfPoster being forced to expend a lot of materials very quickly. I feel like Rivers at the very least is not allowing SmurfPoster to get a lot of breathing room at all. So when it comes to having to remake tools or mine or anything like that, at least SmurfPoster at the very end of the day doesn't have the same leeway that people like D-Dog and Syrup have been abusing for the entirety of their bracket path.
There's one thing I think that would point out why this matchup is so rough for Diddy Kong is the simple idea of just setting up the singular blocks. And you don't have to be a Steve Maestro to know exactly how to set up the walls, right? Like the way he's like putting it right one foot off the ground, that's usually where Rivers uses the banana. That one singular thing is already making the matchup so much harder than Ryu. Of course, we're just seeing SmurfPoster struggling, of course, to find as much damage. Steve is not as high level as some of the other Steves. But regardless, we're seeing Rivers is now having to overthink a lot of these this platform pressure, considering he can't find the banana as he normally does.
Enderman getting tripped was certainly a funny animation. I have to say, I don't really think I've seen this matchup like too often. But one thing I'm sure about, Smurf, oh my goodness.
Both up smash.
Yeah, up smashes both on both sides are going to be missing here. Both of them just trying to find their opportunity, but Rivers just going to stay patient, calm. And the fact that Rivers just didn't press a button in that moment, didn't even roll out, just understood, you know what, I'm at a perfect point. Sure, let me just throw out the up tilt, keep the rage as well, and I think that's really important going into this final stock. For Smurf, we gotta find an opportunity here to like find that explosive option and then get some of our materials back, because we need to start throwing mine cards, man.
Yeah, it seems like it is a common like early Steve habit where you're playing so much with the technical proficiency, the stuff you do in training room. Like we've seen the nil 2 ladders in the attempt to compensate for SDI. We've seen the nils off of ledge into hold shield as a threatening option. What we haven't seen is super effective material usage. It's been a lot of like, I have a ton of materials and then I burn them all away. And then
all
I have a ton
today.
So many, like, except for exactly Syrup has just been, let me burn all my materials at once and then get them all back at once.
Absolutely, and it's just over and over again. Because like you just said, during that entire time we were talking, Smurf had nothing, had something, and now he has nothing again. And he still has something for another, it's been a minute, I've been counting!
Oh my
It's been a minute
goodness.
since he had nothing, and Rivers is just working so, like, working overtime even. Someone get this man time and a half pay, because we just were able to not only adapt to a whole new matchup, being the Steve, being SmurfPoster Steve, you were also able to bring it back and actually have a really solid advantage state for a majority of that time, because unfortunately for SmurfPoster, there were some really good moments with the Steve. We had the nail you mentioned earlier. We had also the stone block placement into the anvil to get the stock off of Rivers. Like, that was great stuff. At the end of the day, we're not mining. We're not slowing the pace down, because Diddy Kong will speed it up so quickly, and it can't overwhelm someone like Steve, who specifically a Steve who isn't slowing it down with block placements, with TNTs. How many TNTs you saw? Zero. Zero.
I think I have to speak to on, honestly, Rivers' adaptation to the matchup in general. We saw like a couple times there where Smurf was block into minecart. River is now adapting and actually rolling into the blocks to not get hit scooped up by the command grab, being able to punish Steve accordingly afterwards, or being able to punish him whenever he's jumping around the blocks with a banana in hand, catching him in the air. Yeah, you're not getting as much damage on the ground, but in reality, when you're going to hit Steve on the ground with banana, never, because blocks are always there. River, the Steve counterplay, well, it might be the most intuitive Steve on the block, and you play Showdown, so I can't complain. River is still employing that Steve counterplay very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Smurf also is getting better as time goes on. But I have to say, Rivers definitely looks a little bit more locked and loaded in. Going to trip on the banana, and the up smash is going to connect into the star KO. And once again, like we talked about a little bit earlier, the best thing to do while Steve is in that star KO is just get rid of crafting table. It definitely forces Steve to kind of take like a step 1A starting in that specific stock. But we got to see a little bit more from Smurf. These up tilts are a really great start, and I feel like we're seeing what we need to see, but we're not seeing it close to Rivers, right? We saw up tilt, up smash, right? Rivers was nowhere in sight, and he knows exactly where to like lock away, so that doesn't connect.
Yeah, it's very much a little bit too slow on some of these conversions, not as much compensating for the hit stun. Going back to basics, though, you see minecart into forward air, cover the jump, looking for the Elytra follow-up, but no dice there. Just seems like Rivers is so proficient and doing what he has always been doing, where it's just purely based on outmaneuvering. A little bit greedy with that monkey flip directly to center. Wanted to see SmurfPoster come in and get hit by the monkey flip kick or the monkey flip grab, but either way, this is Rivers just playing in his proper positions, finding the neutral win, positioning himself correctly, then closing down the stock. It's classic Diddy Kong stuff.
Well, I have noticed in SmurfPoster's time playing this matchup with Rivers right now with the Steve, it was more prevalent in game 1 and it kind of is happening in game 2 and happening in game 3, is that SmurfPoster is a lot more keen on picking up banana rather than fending for his own resources. Right now, I'm eating words on my mouth because he has a full bar of resources, but if you notice, a lot of times he will opt instead of to set up and in order to mine, he wants to go for the banana, and Rivers is finding these habits where, hey, you're prioritizing the wrong things. And I'm gonna punish you for them because I have banana at any time. I have monkey flip. I have a beautiful frame 5 down till you mentioned, right? So a lot of these really great winning factors that Rivers is using and putting in together as a response to SmurfPoster, just kind of prioritizing the wrong things as Steve.
Yeah, man. I mean, a fantastic bout from Rivers in general. The way he played not only the Ryu matchup very, very well, but even playing around the scene again, like credit where credit is due. This is pretty much like SmurfPoster, like tertiary Steve. So obviously still needs some work, but it was good regardless. The way that Rivers is employing Steve counterplay, and just like we think he's growing as a player, we went from like reluctantly like falling into all the Steve shenanigans to actually playing around the character, giving him the time of day, and doing a pretty damn good job. I think Rivers definitely earned his way, and honestly, earned his way into top 4.
Yeah, you earned your way into now fighting D-Dog.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you beat Steve. Now fight a guy who actually plays Steve.
Yeah, this one, it's going to be a little bit rough, but top 4 is certainly stacking up to be quite an interesting time here, as it will be New York and New Jersey battling it out as we love to see it. And I am super excited to see where we go. I am now going to let Momo and Matneva shout themselves out again, because now it's actually time for top 4. So go on ahead one more time for y'all.
I'm exhausted. I'm sorry. It's been like 8 hours.
Yes,
Please follow me on Twitter. Follow me on whatever. I don't mind. Love it here. This was great. Boom, bam, bop. That's it. That's all I got. Sorry.
Thank you guys all for watching. My name has been Momo. Catch me on Twitter at Momo on the mic. Shout out to everybody again. Shout out to Kelvin over there on production. Shout out to everybody else on the Collision team. Shout out to my good friend Henry Ubel over here for having us on for this event. An absolute pleasure to work this event, to work Tristate Showdown. I really hope more of these events happen. It's an absolute vibe all day. Fortunately,